Hey guys, it's Jeff from San Diego Seed Company, and we are back out in the garden for a new video. I'm here with my buddy Sam, who you can tell he's a California kid because it's November 1st and he is wearing his winter jacket. Are you cold?
No.
Oh, you got embarrassed. Sorry, didn't mean to embarrass you.
I didn't get embarrassed, I'm not cold.
You're not cold? Why are you wearing that jacket? Why do I have a t-shirt and you have a jacket? I'm done giving my son a hard time on the internet for everybody to see. I do love you, boy. I love you with all my heart. Anyway, today we are talking about one of the most important things for a gardener in their journey, and that is seed starting. At some point, everybody is going to go, well, not everybody. Most people who are serious about gardening are going to go from buying seed starts to planting their own seeds, which will allow them access to so many more varieties of crops and just save a lot of money, honestly. So this video is all about that. It can be intimidating to take on this task, so we want to give you everything that we know, that I've done for the past years, that Brigitte has done. All of San Diego Seed Company's knowledge is going to be dumped into this video, so stay tuned. Before we get into all of it, do not forget to subscribe. We put out so much content for you guys, and we would hate for you to miss a video, so please subscribe, hit the bell so you can get notified anytime we put out new stuff. Okay, so tip number one is stay organized. If you guys have watched the videos that I've done about garden planning on my computer, you'll know that I use a visual garden planner to show what my garden looks like and where I'm going to put my crops, but then I also use Excel or Google Sheets to stay organized on what day that I'm going to have to plant what crops. So I look at seed starting as a 2-day process, not 2 full days, but I split it up into 2 days. The first day I'm going to add soil to all my trays and I'm going to soak it, and then I'm also going to go into the computer inside, find all my seeds, and make all my tags. Not sure if you can read this, but it says what variety, what date, and how many down here. So when I go out to actually seed start, I'm not going to have to go look at my computer and come back with dirty hands. I've already got all the information that I need of what I'm going to do today on these little tags. Okay, tip number 2 is understanding soil types for seed starting. A lot of seed starters will use something that is called soilless mix, which is just, it looks like soil, but there's not actually soil in it. As you know, soil is just broken down rocks, and that's sand, silt, and clay, mixed all together with water and air and some carbon. Then you get, that's what soil. Soilless mix doesn't have any of that in it. It is just a medium to hold water. And that's all it does, is it holds water really well. You've heard of coconut coir, there's several other, peat moss, there's other types of things that will hold on to water to give your roots access to water so those cotyledons can grow. Those cotyledons have enough energy to get your seed started for 2 weeks. So remember this, here's the tip. If you're using soilless mix, as soon as you see the first true leaves, you're gonna need to add some kind of fertilizer. We recommend a liquid organic fertilizer. Whatever it is, it's got to be able to be sucked up immediately by the roots to give your plant enough energy to keep growing, because remember, soilless mix does not have any nutrients in it that the plant can access. Now some may be a hybrid that have nutrients, but make sure you're looking at your soil, because I had a really hard time starting seeds because I wasn't giving it enough nutrients. So what do? I went to City Farmer, which is a local nursery here in San Diego. A lot of our viewers, I'm sure, have been there and love it. I said, hey, do you have soilless mix? They said, no. I said, well, how do you start your seeds? They said, we use this, the most expensive stuff known to man. But I'm telling you guys, I've used it for 2 years now, and it is the best seed starting mix that I have used because it actually has nutrients. It has things that your plant can access right away, so you don't have to fertilize quite as much. Now, I still am going to add fertilizer maybe once or twice before I transition them out to the garden, but this stuff right here is great. The only thing is you are going to have to sift it, which I'll get into in a future tip. Okay, tip number 3 is moisture. As a lot of you know, or maybe some of you don't, that's why you're watching this video, the only way that a seed is ever going to germinate is if it comes in contact with moisture. Seeds are looking for 2 things, soil temperature and moisture. Cool season seeds tend to want cooler soil. Warm season seeds, especially peppers, want warmer soil. So For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to talk about soil temperature as much, but it is something that you're going to have to consider. But I do want to talk a lot about moisture. Coming out of the bag, potting soil or soilless mix has very little moisture and it's a little hydrophobic. So what I do on that first day is I fill up all my trays. I take some off of the top, so I've got maybe a ½ an inch from the very top, because I'm going to have to add some soil back onto this on top of my seeds. So I fill those almost to the top, and then I fill the bottom tray almost completely with water. Now let's see how much water is actually left in this tray. I put probably 2 inches of water in it. It's completely gone. It's almost dry. There's a little down here in the corner. But what has happened is I've done something called bottom watering, which is putting water on the bottom side of soil and through capillary action, which is basically water's desire to spread out is stronger than its desire to stay together. So rather than pooling together at the bottom, it wants to go explore dry places and spread out. So it's going to take the quote-unquote capillaries between all these particulates of the soil, and it's going to go exploring. And where does it explore? All the way to the top until it can't go any higher. So if you put enough water in the bottom, you're going to saturate all of this soil all the way to the top, and that's what you're going to want before you start seed starting. Okay, tip number 4 is seed depth. How deep are you going to plant your seed? And not only that, but how are you going to get them deep into the soil? Are you going to put your finger in there and poke a hole? That hole that I just poked is about 1 inch too deep. For small seeds like this, most of cool season seeds are going to be tiny like this. So these right here are some kind of cruciferous. I can just tell by the round brownish red shape. They're the all-season cabbage. You can probably barely even see the individual seed in my hand, whereas I just went in our garden, because they're everywhere, and found a loofah seed, which are much, much bigger. Now this is a warm season seed. Things like beans and squash and pumpkins and watermelons, they have bigger seeds, so you can plant them deeper. But for cool season crops, any seed that is this small, check the back of the seed pack. It's going to say 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. So poking your finger deep down in there and planting a seed is going to be much too deep for the seed to make its way through the soil. You're really just going to want a dusting. So there are 2 ways you can do it. One way is the Brigitte way, which is perfectly fine. As I mentioned before, you're going to not fill up your cells to the top and put the seeds right on top of the soil. Boom, 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 boom. And then you're going to come through and cover them with a dusting, about 1/4 an inch of soil. I personally don't do that method, so I'm going to show you my method. And that is not poke a full finger or a full knuckle and a half down here, but I'm just going to make a little indentation, just like that. My fingernail isn't even getting dirty. Just a little tiny indentation that over the years I just know that indentation is about 1/4 of an inch. And like I said, since most of our seeds are going to be this size, only need 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch, I'm going to go ahead and do this whole tray with divots, just like this. I'm going to go ahead and put these tags in. When I'm organizing my seed trays, I read it like a book. Start at the top left, I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then snowball is going to be next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's 6 black-seeded Simpsons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You guys get the idea. 5, 6 will get me to right here, and then 5. Perfect. So that's perfectly 32. I've got some more here that I'll go and do them for the next tray after I'm done with this video. The last thing that I'm going to do is just look for big pieces of wood, which aren't really bad. Some of the cheaper soil brands will add a ton of wood just so they get more volume for cheaper, because wood is a lot cheaper than soil. So I'm just going to go through and hand pick out some of these bigger pieces of wood that I don't want to accidentally fall on top of one of my seeds, or for that matter be at the bottom where, like, this is actually a rock, which is fine. Fox Farm is really high quality. I'm not saying anything negative about the soil, just pointing out there are a lot of different things in here that may not help with seed starting, as opposed to coconut coir or peat moss, which is specifically for water retention and seed starting. I'm using potting soil, so I do have to do a couple extra steps to get it ready. Continuing on with tip number 4, and that is seed depth. Let's talk about what we put on top of the seeds. So this is where Brigitte and I's methods converge. She doesn't fill the cup the whole way. I just make little divots. At the end of the day, we're gonna have to get some soil on top of here. Depending on how big your seeds are, like I said, with cool season, they're very small. So I'm gonna even sift the potting soil to get it even more fine than it is coming out of the bag. Because again, I don't want big pieces of wood sitting on top of seeds. So let me get some sifted soil ready for after we plant these suckers. And then what you'll see is exactly what I don't want on top of my seeds is just wood. So I'm going to throw this into the garden so it can break down and give some good goodies to my current soil in my garden. So now what we have is a bunch of fluffy soil that doesn't have huge particles. It's got some small sticks in there, but nothing too heavy for a seed to pop through. Personally, I take this approach when choosing how many seeds per cell. The smaller the seed, the more seeds I'm going to put into it. Lettuce, I put maybe 4 or 5. For a lot of herb seeds, which are super tiny, even smaller than these, I'm going to sprinkle upwards to 10, 12 seeds just to give myself a better chance of fertilization, because a lot of seeds may take 2 weeks to germinate. I don't want to waste 2 weeks by only putting 1 seed and trying to be economical and save my seeds. I'd much rather get good germination, give myself a better chance to at least get 1 to pop up. So I'm going to do more seeds the smaller the seed. If I'm planting beans in the summer, I'm putting 1 bean down in there because I know that's going to pop up, no problem. With cruciferous, like kale, even lettuces 4 or 5. Cruciferous, I'm going to try to do 2. So you probably won't be able to see these fall in, but I'm going to do my best to get 2. If I get 1 in one and I'm feeling crazy, I'll just leave it. 3 is fine. Sometimes it's hard. Make sure your hands are dry because the seeds will stick to your hands if they're wet. Okay, so now all we have to do is lightly fill in these divots. Again, we're looking for 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, so I didn't make the divots too deep, but then you also don't want to mound it way too high. So it does take some practice to get the right depth. Seeds are very, very forgiving. If you've ever walked down a sidewalk, you can tell weeds will grow through concrete. They grow up through gutters. They're very, very resilient. They're looking for light. So if you mess this stuff up, it's not the end of the world. You're still going to get germination. But as a seed company, if we're planting crops that we're trying to get to go to seed, we don't want to waste time. We're on a timeline. So we want every single cell to pop up. So we've used these methods to just give us a better germination rate. And better success when it comes to seed starting, because again, we don't want to waste 3 to 5 days, or in some cases 2 to 3 weeks waiting for a seed to pop up that's never going to pop up. So if you do these things, you're going to have great success, like a Borat. Step number 5 is to keep these things wet. If I were to do all of this work and then went inside, put them underneath my grow lights, and then forgot about them for a week, the soil is going to dry out and they are not going to germinate. Or there would be enough moisture to germinate them, but then they dry out, and if that happens, you're toast. You're going to have to completely start over. If that taproot dries out at all and dies, it's not going to send out a new taproot. It's only got 1 chance. So keeping these moist is very, very, very important. So what I'm going to do now is look for my mist setting. If I could just read, I'd find it. There we go. We got mist, and I'm just going to give the top of these a light misting, mainly to get that new soil that I sifted wet, because it's going to suck up a lot of the moisture, and we just want as much moisture, as much chance of success for these guys. So let's go ahead and give them a drink. Now, did you guys notice that none of the soil moved? That's why I put it on the mist setting. If you were to do your shower setting, rain setting, or the worst case, stream or jet, the soil is going to go everywhere, the seeds are going to go everywhere, hop into it's just going to be chaos. So you want to do mist setting just to give them a little extra drink to keep the seeds moist and give them a chance to germinate. Okay, so there you have it. That's the 5 tips that I use every time that I start seeds. There may have been 6 in there, 4, I can't remember honestly. I think I was counting the whole time, but you guys tell me, did I do 5 or 6? Whatever it is, if you listen to all those things, you're gonna have success. Now I've got one last tip. Let's just call this a bonus tip. If you're starting them outside, make sure that you check them every day for moisture. And now I'm talking about the top ½ inch has to be moist when these things are germinating, because again, that's what makes the seed germinate, is access to moisture. If you let that dry out, it's not going to work. So make sure the top ½ inch is definitely moist. In this case, bottom watering may not do the trick. If you think of all the water coming from the bottom, it may run out of water by the time it gets to the top. So at least for the first week, I'm gonna be on the mist setting and moistening the top of the soil. If you're starting outside, you don't have to worry about putting them in the sun until they actually pop up. So you can put them in the shade. That actually helps to keep the soil moist because it's cool and it's not, the sun isn't baking that moisture off. The same thing goes if you're gonna take them inside and put them under grow lights. Don't turn the grow lights on until they actually pop up, because all that's going to do is dry out the soil and you're going to have to keep watering. What do you got? Where's your hands? Where does hands go? Oh my gosh, where are they? Oh, I see him, I see him. Okay, let me finish this. So keep the seeds moist, follow the other tips, and you're going to have success when seed starting in your garden.